What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of the Apex, the podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, we are in the midst of our ALGS Championship Breakdown Series. Group B coming up here in just a moment. If this is the first time you're watching, you can go check out Group A that we did last week, breaking down all of the teams from Group A. Today, we're going to be doing Group B. We got C and D coming up as we get closer to the tournament. But boys, we're in the middle of the holidays, and there's really only one thing we're waiting for. It is ALGS. It's Champs, Sapporo, coming up here really soon. Cannot wait. Super excited. Let's just check in with everybody first before we get into Group B. I want to check in with Wumba here. Jumba, how are you doing?
Everything in my life is great except for the Toronto Maple Leafs. That's about it. Yeah.
That's good. But really, if you break it down, like that's the best. Like what you'd rather have the Leafs be bad than like family troubles.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I mean, that absolutely I would. But I did send this text message to my friends first thing this morning. If I could quickly find it, I said to them, "Hold on, it's a bit back. Hold on, that's last Leafs game. I'm now looking at." Okay, I can't find the exact text, but I basically said, woke up this morning, felt immense dread, terrible anxiety. Yeah, woke up this morning with a pounding chest, extreme anxiety, just immense amount of dread for the day, very confused what the fuck was going on. Then I realized Leafs play tonight.
Oh, that's what it is.
That's how I feel when it's their game day. Yeah.
Well, we still got a lot of season left. We can figure it out.
No. They either fired the coach this week when this episode goes up, or they better like start selling off players and getting draft picks. The season is done. Calling that here.
It's not done.
It's done.
We're gonna get it figured out.
The season.
It's not done.
The season's done. You've coughed up too many points.
We're gonna figure it out. We're gonna figure it out. Dawn, how are you doing?
Doing good, man. Just coming off the birthday yesterday, so big shout out to everybody who was there.
Happy birthday to Donnie.
So
happy
appreciate it. Appreciate it. 25th birthday. Definitely what birthday it is. It's definitely not a stretch at all. But no, it was definitely a fun day yesterday with the boys hanging out, playing games. Even though I still find a way to scream my head off at every game I play. I really have to work on that for next year. But,
but we're saving that for January. We can keep screaming. Yeah,
it's a January problem. I got a few more days to yell at video games. But no, other than that, doing good, man. Just watching a ton of scrims as I always do. And champs cannot come soon enough.
Yeah, maybe we employ the Hal theory of we just drink some beer before we play, and then things will just start to get better.
Bro, they got me to play Valorant last night. Crazy.
Oh, shit.
That's tough. That's tough to do. Donnie's the second person in my life I've ever downloaded Valorant for.
I will not be downloading that, Donnie, for you. And I don't want you to think that that's disrespect. I said I don't install too, but I didn't. Oh, no. This is
don't worry. I'm a CS guy.
I don't love this. I'm a CS guy. But Dawn, everything else good?
Yeah, we're doing good. My sports team's really started doing good with the Packers and everything outside of, two of our best players going down last game. And somehow losing to the Broncos and potentially losing to the Bears this week. I don't know. Maybe I'm not doing as good.
It sounds like they're not doing good. Like as you started saying that.
Yeah, that's just the delirium we live in Lambeau Field, I guess. But we'll see what happens with the Bears this week again. Because the NFL decided to schedule them twice in 2 weeks, which makes no sense to me whatsoever. But we'll see what happens. I mean, Chicago's usually Chicago, so I'm just waiting for them to choke again. So we'll see what happens.
You can set your watch to it. Truly, you really can.
You really can. It's just more about what is actually going to happen. Because we've seen a field goal mishap. We see Caleb Williams. Always the savior. He's the guy. He still throws a pick in the end to seal the win for the Packers. I mean, it's a tale as old as time, man.
Yep.
So I mean, we'll see what happens this week, but. I am currently looking up how to give my ACL to Micah Parsons so he can come back next week. But I'm not having any luck. So if anybody knows, comment down below because I need Micah Parsons on the field. So thank you.
Micah, I know he listens. So Micah, if you need an ACL, we're willing to spare. I won't be able to because I could meet you guys in the Super Bowl, but Donnie would be able to.
Listen,
and it's a 25-year-old ACL, so I could clearly give mine. So it's clearly.
Yeah.
I was gonna
What
say,
were you saying,
quick
Jumbo?
aside. Have you guys heard that Cam Scatbo, or is that how you say his last
Scatabo?
name? Scatabo.
Scatabo.
We should probably restart this so that this way, if he hears this, Cam Scatabo plays
It's
Apex.
actually Scataboo, actually. I
Scataboo?
remember Jay corrected me on this.
Okay.
Jayhawk.
Cam Scatabo plays Apex, and how cool would it be if we got him on the podcast?
I'll reach out. If you think I won't, I'll reach out.
Maybe
I'll reach
I
out to
think we
anybody.
should
I reached
just,
out to
like,
Shohei after the World Series. I haven't heard back yet, but I think he's just busy right now.
I think yeah.
Was that to like spite both me and Don? Like what the fuck?
No, that was more just like get a big name on the show.
Okay,
He's
fair,
pretty cool.
fair.
I think you can both agree he's pretty cool.
He's
pretty
alright
cool.
at baseball.
I
Yeah,
would've-
he's pretty cool.
I
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have been
What were you
hurt.
saying?
I would have talked to him.
Yeah, that would have been
I
tough.
would have
but it's all right.
asked him if he actually doesn't know how to speak English, because that guy's lying.
That's the theory. That's the
Yeah.
theory, isn't it?
He definitely
Yeah.
probably bets on that too. It's fine.
Mhm. Yeah, we could place bets. I'll tell him about Prize Picks, and I think that's
There
what'll
you go.
get him hooked. You know what? I didn't put
He
Prize
needs to-
Picks inside the DM I sent him. That's probably why he didn't hop on.
Yeah.
I'm serious about the Cam Scottaboo thing. I think it's something that would be a cool campaign. Everyone we try to get
I'll
this guy
DM
on the pod
immediately.
because he actually
I'll
plays
DM.
Apex. I watched him in an interview say like he goes home and he plays Apex after like games and shit like that. That'd be sick.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
no, I'll DM him immediately, and I'll have to avoid talking about the Broncos game because I was in a. That was a tough game
DM
for
him
them,
from the
so,
pod account. I'll try too.
Yeah,
I'll say, hey Cam,
we'll get.
you
to
might
him.
have seen
We'll
the
get to him.
videos. I can introduce you to Imperial Hal. We could do that on this show.
What if we did a Hal
God.
Cam Scattaboo
That would
dual
be a
interview?
crazy interview, and I think you cannot tell me Hal would not be up for that.
Yeah, Hal would 100% be up for that.
I
That'd be
think the
so
next
sick.
person we just set up to is Post Malone. I mean, might as well just hit them all while we're at it.
I've tried to hit him in the past, but maybe I try again. Maybe I try again.
Yeah.
Send that thing out.
Listen,
who knows?
I know the person who set up the Post Malone thing last year at EWC.
This is big. This is all we need. Okay, we
That's all we
kickstarted
need.
this way, and there we go. Well, boys and girls, let's get into the actual Apex part of it, the champs part of it. Group B. Group B, when we look at the grand scheme of all of the groups, may not be one that jumps off the page, but there are some really good rosters in this group that we're going to be breaking down here. And let's kick it off with our first one here. This is the APAC South Split 2 winner for Pro League. This is G Esports with Asia, Dexter, and Zicky. And Don, I'll throw it down to you first because I feel like G was a team that you spent a lot of time watching over this last Pro League split. You've gotten really familiar with their game and what they bring to the table. Now, for the people who haven't watched a whole lot of APAC South, what is G Esports? What is their mantra when they get into the game? How do they like to play?
I mean, if there's one word, they're just disgusting. I mean, they are such a good fighting team to watch when they're in flow state of being able to basically take any 3v3 against anybody anywhere on the map at any point in the game. I mean, you just want to talk about a team with firepower. Like, obviously, everyone loves to mention Alliance, Falcons. Like, Gen G is right there. Like, they are a team that I think triple MK as well, by the way. No roller players on that team. Asia, specifically, arguably the best R9 in the game. Again, on MK, which is very crazy to say, especially where we've gotten to with rollers nowadays. But they're unpredictable. They're going to be a team that, especially in like group stages, is going to play a lot of edge. It's going to look to pick up a lot of KP, be very aggressive early on. They're not a team that's going to play like a Newcastle as often as a lot of these other teams. If you even go back to like the EWC performance where they ended up getting a fourth place, which is the best ever for this roster, who has also been together for a while, by the way. But they were not running like the typical like console legends where they're getting ring console. They're not running a Rampart or a Watson or Caustic or any of those characters. And again, not even running like a Newcastle. They're running like Fuse to like really also, they're still able to get the ring console on blue perk, but they're using the Fuse as just another character to be very aggressive. So they're going to be a fun team to watch. They're going to be a team that I think definitely needs to be in the conversation of a LAN potential winning team based on they're one of the few teams that's been top 10 at both LANs this year. And again, if you just want an unpredictable, fun team to watch, this is the team to do so. And I will say it's gonna be fun for us, but not maybe fun for some of the teams on the map. But yeah, a very exciting team. One I'm very excited to see, and it's been great to kind of see their come up, because again, they've been together for a while, but this year has been like the first year that they've really like cemented their mark as one of the best teams in the world.
Jumba, they didn't really mess around at all in APAC South either. It was just like kind of domination on a lot of these pro league days with Gen G. And, you know, there was some factors that play into that with, you know, some of the teams not being at full strength, what have you, VK Gaming being that team I'm speaking of. But I mean, they were kind of just always in control of that APAC South region for a long time. They almost too, I believe they were in the final fight at EWC, and it could have went their way. It ends up not going their way. But what do you see from Gen G that impresses you the most?
No, like Don was saying, fun team to watch. When you watch them play, like, because it almost feels like they just death ball everything. They're full sending you as fast as they can. And you know, there's pro players that will talk about, like, there's certain teams, you know, who are pushing you based off the way they play. And I think with how fast they move, I think Gen G is a team that other teams know when they're fighting, because of the fact that it's like they're coming in so hot. It's like, oh, this is Gen G right now. But yeah, like, you know, like all three of their players have like tons of competitive history. You know, multiple lands and land finals, top 10s finishes, as Donnie was saying, from this year and everything like that. And sometimes, like, we've seen that there's players that have the success, or, you know, are kind of almost like mid-pack, like, for so long, and then finally have a breakout year. And this feels like their breakout year. They've done really good. So I agree. I think that they're up there in some of the top teams to come in and win. And I mean, like, they're the team that also, they shut down NIP from winning with that crazy freaking Kraber shot in game 7 at midseason playoffs, right? And that also, I think that game specifically put them on match point after. I'm working on a video on that specific game right now. And so I talked to their coach Templex, and I asked him, because like literally 5 minutes into the game, they say like NIP's at this building, which some teams knew, but not a lot of teams picked up on, because NIP didn't have a ring console, right? So I just want to give some insight into the fact that, like, even though that they noticed NIP doesn't have a ring console, they say NIP's in that building, and they kept track of the fact that NIP was alive all the way down to top 3, and they're trying to win the game. And when they realized they couldn't, they called for Ziki to climb up and try to grief that team. So that Kraber shot wasn't just a lucky fucking fluke. It was absolutely intentional. And that's the type of intelligence this team's got behind them. So yeah, so it's going to be an exciting team to watch, fun team to watch.
Now, with some of these teams, we talk about the fact that you'll see some teams come in and have a really good LAN performance, but maybe they fade out because they're still kind of newer to the scene. Do you think when we do our classic, what's their ceiling, what's their floor, do you still see them as a team that could make it outside of the finals here? Or do you feel like they're more solidified in kind of their consistency over this last pro league split?
I think they're going to finals. I will see that for sure. Again, Dexter, Ziki, Asia, even, like, you know, they've played separately over the years, played together. They tend to get to finals. Like, not always. I'd have to go look back specifically, but like right now I'm looking at it right here. ALGS 20, like, this is Dexter. He was 13th at the 2022 championship. He was 9th at the Open. He was obviously 4th, like Donnie said. And if I went into the extended list, I'm sure that we would see that he made a couple more finals in there. Yeah, 16th at Split 2 playoffs 2024. So I think that they're a finals team.
Yeah,
Perfect.
I would definitely agree with that. And I think the biggest question I'll have, which they kind of solved it already at EWC, but Asia was definitely well known for a while of playing basically all Ashe. Like, that was a character that a lot of people around the world that maybe weren't watching APAC South are like, oh, like, this guy's absolutely insane. That's a character obviously that's been hard nerfed since they were using that throughout most of the year. So it'll be interesting to see how they use, you know, different characters like the Bang, the Valk, maybe. I know he's also big into like the Maggie, so that could be a team that kind of breaks out the Maggie early on. So that'd be one big thing to watch with Asia specifically. He's definitely the one that's going to open up a lot of their fights, create a lot of the havoc for that team. Is kind of what that nerf will do on a LAN stage.
Yeah, as I quickly like even found it here, they've missed only 2 finals since the 2022 championship. In a quick scroll, like I could be not seeing it properly, but in a quick scroll, I think they've only missed 2 finals. Looks like they missed one LAN entirely, and then the other LAN they just came 35th. But other than that, finals every time.
There we go.
Their game plan now, especially too, like they're going to be a team that can absolutely kill in the group stage. Like the way the group stages play out, they're going to be a team that's going to be in a very good position. And now, especially since group stages give you better draft picks and stuff like that, when you like are higher seeded, that's only going to play into the game more too. So it feels like a team that should definitely be a lock for finals, probably a lock for a top 10 competing, to win the whole thing.
Yeah, and one more step for clarity, that Miss LAN was 2 years ago. So like they're pretty set.
So now we move into Shopify Rebellion. That is Zap, that is Koifel, and that is Zainu. And this is a team that when I'm just gonna say it right now, guys. There's no way they don't make finals. There's absolutely no way Shopify Rebellion misses finals. There's no chance.
I would take that from Donnie. I take that from me. I take that from E. Like, bro, you can't be saying that.
No, there's no.
No. This is what you said
Mark
about
my
mid-season
words.
Playoffs.
Mark my words. Well, okay, but what did I say about them? What did I say about the regional final winner? People forget that. People forget.
I will forget that.
People forget.
I have forgotten it.
I
agree,
no
though.
way.
No. As much as we want to do the bit, I do agree. Like, if they somehow didn't make finals, it'd be a crazy disappointment. I think there's no way. I think that, especially after we talked to Dawn and everything like that, if people haven't seen that episode, I think that it would explain a lot as to why all three of us, I can imagine, would say these guys are up there for LAN winner contender, right? Like, they should be, at least.
Yeah, and they did have some moments in this last year where there was, some things going on, and like Dawn, I remember you mentioning earlier on in the season, you were just like, I don't know, dude, there's just something's going on, and you were spot on with it, but it seems like they've kind of gotten back into their groove. There has been a long break in between, also, a meta change, so we never really know. But when you have these 3 players together, it's really hard to think that they wouldn't be making finals. What's their ceiling and what's their floor for Shopify Rebellion?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest question, obviously, when these 3 specifically came together was like, how quickly can they all kind of, fit into the roles? Obviously, Zainu stepping up into the IGL role, Zap obviously coming in, kind of having a different role over at TSM. So like, what were these 3 going to look like? And I think if there is a team that benefited from having this long stretch of time between the end of Pro League and Champs, it is a team like this, where they just can, they have the 2 coaches with Don and Liuk that can just hit the floor running, get all this data, all these different comps they want to try. And then you have a guy like Zainu who just gets into more situations as an IGL doing his thing. And it definitely is a team that I think benefited a lot from this break. So the ceiling's definitely winning the LAN. They're a team that can easily be on match point early and often. I mean, they've won 7 scrim blocks so far, which I'm pretty sure the only team that's won more is Falcons. So SR has definitely been right there in terms of anything you'd want to see in scrims, anything you want to see in practice, and then obviously not to mention them winning the split as well from split 2. So it's a team that, again, it very hard to see them missing finals. A lot would have to go wrong, kind of like what happened at midseason playoffs, for them to miss out. The biggest question, I think, just for me is, are they going to try to play more aggressive early, or are they going to try to fit into more of like the Newcastle route? Because I mean, they've been trying stuff early on where they've busted out like a Maggie early. They've tried stuff out where they've brought like a Seer out early versus some other teams. So that'll be kind of interesting to watch. But I think more often than that, we'll probably see them in the classic like Valk, Caustic, Newcastle that we've been seeing to start off with. But a lot to like with these guys for sure.
Yeah, we got to remember the midseason playoffs is a different format and a weird one to qualify in that sense too, right? Like, I think they got like 13th in that second like group, but like only 6 qualified. What other set has only 6 qualification teams? And first set only had 7. So like I can't, like, no series that any of them have ever played in has like a weird like limit limit like that. Which, I mean, I get all other teams were playing in that too, but in the standard format that we've known throughout history of Apex lands, they should be going the distance on this one.
You're muted.
Damn, dude, I just pulled an Enoch. That's crazy. That's crazy. All right, well, we're moving into our second APAC South team of this group. That is S8UL with Jesco, Legacy, and Sharky. Legacy, obviously, the IGL. And Don, this team is really interesting too, because they've been kind of in the mix the entire year. If you look at their year 5 land performances, they got 14th at the ALGS Open. They got 15th at EWC. So not necessarily great placements overall, but when you look at the grand scheme of things, those are 2 finals lobbies that they've made in both of the lands that they've gone to this year. So with S8UL, what kind of makes them go and what kind of holds them back from making it deeper into these finals lobbies placements?
Yeah, I think what makes them go, they're a team that's very cohesive. They're very good with their communication, plays zone very well. Just a very classic Apex team. And again, they've got a ton of experience, obviously, with Sharky, and now Jesco and Legacy have quickly picked up a lot of lane experience with the past couple of years, because obviously we saw them with like Guild when Empty was there for a bit, when Phony was there for a bit. We're getting top 10s with those IGLs and doing quite a good job with it. So it's definitely a team that it just feels like all that's really missing right now is that finals, that finals lobby where they really show their true colors. I know, just even watching back some of the stuff from their previous finals, in that big game at like the Open, for example, in that last game, they were in the spot that Falcons essentially won from, but they got dive bomb basically from a team, and they knew it was coming, but it was just so hard to defend because you're going to get thirded from any team that's close in that situation. So a little of it's been unlucky, and a little bit too, I think their 3v3 fighting at times doesn't quite just match up with like the top tier teams in the world. When you got a team like Falcons, you got a team like Gen.G, you got a team like Alliance, Shopify, like all 3 players on those 3 teams can just punish you in a fight at any time. And these guys obviously are good. Don't get me wrong. They're obviously 2 finals appearances this year, again, which is not a lot of teams can say. It's just like that 1 or 2% that can make a difference in that big fight. You need to hold a god spot, or that big fight, to clear out your side to rotate into zone. Those are just kind of those little things that we're missing right now from this roster. But in terms of like getting to zone, picking up placements, being in good spots, this team takes that off every single time. It's just, can they fight the important fights against some of these top teams of the world? That's going to be their question. I think, again, they make a finals lobby. I don't, again, especially because they've been playing pretty well during scrims. I think this benefits them pretty well. But if things go wrong and they're not winning a lot of fights, they die off early, there might be those few scenarios where they don't make finals and they go out in like a loser's round 2. But my guess is that we see them in the finals, and it's just ultimately up to how they're fighting that day. I think that will determine how they do.
Jumbo, do you kind of agree with the ceiling and the floor there for S8UL?
Yeah, I would. Like, if you listen to their comms closely, Jesco's amazing at like zone calls and everything like that. Legacy, now he's got he's got a lot of experience built behind him, but when he entered the scene, everyone's like, holy shit, this is the new up and coming young fragger, and he's MK. And then obviously Sharky's been around for such a long time. So they're a good squad. But I would agree with like Donnie. It feels like in the late games, whether it's decision making or fighting, they just are stuck with like getting over that hump, with elevating themselves to that next level. Like, they're a good team. I think they could get to finals always. We've seen them win games, and like some pretty crazy games too. But like, it's just like that hump of getting over that and like putting them into the realm of like winning. It seems like they always fall just a little bit short. I think MT really was like one of the best for that team with his IGLing and everything like that. I think he was a really good fit. Once he left, it seems like they've had a tough time getting back to that. Now, that being said, that was also MT in that crypto meta. I think he really excelled in that meta. With legend bans, it changes it a bit here too. But I agree with mostly what Don said. I see them making finals. I'd be surprised if they won. Happily surprised, but I'd be surprised. I don't think it would happen.
Yeah, so it's more
But
like
prove me
kind
wrong.
of the placements that we've seen from them thus far, kind of like that 14th to 20th range. Maybe on a really good day, you can break into that top 10.
Yeah, like I think they could break into that top 10, right?
Mhm.
It's just winning match points hard, man.
It's really hard, especially in champs, because that's the tournament of the year. So that's going to be S8UL from APAC South. Now we move back into another team from the Americas region, and that is ROC Esports. And boys, we've been rock hard on the show. I mean,
Rock hard.
speaking personally, I've been rock hard many times on the show. Whenever I talk about these three fellows, we got Saucer, we've got Deeds, we got Vaxlon. I'm basically rock hard every single time because I really enjoy the way they play. Obviously, EWC together as a squad was their best placement this year. They got second place at EWC, and it was kind of the breakout party for Deeds. We already knew what he had, the ability that he had, but he was really able to show it on that land stage for the first time, and it was really fun to watch. And Saucer, who we've talked about a bunch on the show, friend of the program who's been on the show many times, we talked about him as well and his confidence. He had never been more confident than that EWC. He was on a different level. Don, when it comes to ROC Esports, can they make another LAN experience like they had at EWC? Are they able to put it together? I feel like obviously it is yes, but when it comes to replicating a performance like that, where do you see ROC falling in the fold in at Champs?
Yeah, I mean, I think that what this year I think has proven for these three players specifically is like they do have that ability and that just knowledge of the game to be in contention to win a LAN. I think that's the biggest step these guys have all taken because again, we've talked about numerous times now how the confidence at times can be lacking for all three of these players because of the situations they've been through. Some good, some bad. That could definitely weigh on you. And again, I just think with what's happened this year, if they don't believe by now that they can go out and potentially win a match point final, I don't know what else will, because what they've done, what they did at midseason playoffs was definitely nothing short of exceptional. I think for given what a lot of people expected from that roster, given the little amount of time that they were together before that tournament. And I mean, you just seen some of the results in like a match point setting. Obviously, they got second here. They had won the regional final during split one. So they're a team that can show up on a match point day, which if there's any day to show up, it's definitely match point. So there's definitely no reason that they can't fit into this and figure out a way to, repeat the performance. I think a lot of the characters that are in play right now are characters that definitely fit all these guys. You got Deeds, obviously, with his Newcastle. You got Vaxlon, throwing in, characters like Crypto, like Sparrow. I think, he's very basically a secondary IGL like they've talked. Him and Sauce, definitely go back and forth with a lot of the macro, micro, talking together, figuring out what works best. So, and then Sauce obviously being on like the Valk, the Altar, the Race, kind of like the rotate characters, that's definitely perfect for him because obviously, we know how good he is at finding good spots and zones for them to play. And again, if they can come and they can fight well as a trio, I think they will ultimately be right back in the same position that they were. I may be a little bit like 1 or 2% lower than like a Shopify or like something like that, just because obviously like the fighting potential isn't quite as there as those three or some of our other favorites. And also they are prone to having those days where the confidence isn't there. But I really do feel like this team is again another lock for finals, and barring anything drastic happening during the group stages, they should be right back in that picture again.
Now, Jumbo, when it comes to ROC, the one thing that we've talked about, and for people who've been listening for a long time, they already know the story, but if there was ever like a team that you'd really want to root for because of their story, I feel like ROC is one of those teams. I mean, they had one of the most tumultuous year fives of all time. Like, absolutely insane what they went through. For people who don't know, can you give them a quick background rundown on year five from all of these three players' perspectives?
Yeah. So for Sauce, he was with LG. They go to the Open, and they just do not perform. Unfortunately, they don't do very well. And it was Sauce, like from his own words, he felt that it was like his one tournament where he wasn't the strongest, and then it felt like he wasn't given a chance. He was dropped after at that point for different options. After having good performances at previous lands last year, and such like that. And so he was up in the air. And, you know, in the Apex world, when you're an IGL and especially M&K player, like it's hard to find a new team because a lot of teams have their IGLs locked down, especially the good contending ones. They're not looking to upgrade anytime soon. Like sometimes they might want to upgrade, like, especially a guy who they know is like a really good fragger and everything like that, but they're not going to be looking for someone to replace their decisions. IGLs typically run the team. So yeah, so it kind of looked like we didn't know if Sauce was going to get another shot in Pro League at that time. On the flip side, Vaxlon and Deeds had teamed up with Reps, and they started off kind of actually not too bad. And from what I understand, they even had org offers and everything like that, but Reps was not feeling it and decided to completely step away from competitive Apex, kind of hanging them dry. They went into the Open and they played with Snipe Down, and they didn't do great, but it was at like last moment's notice throwing this together. Vaxlon had never IGL'd on his own, and Deeds had played with pretty much the same team for so long. You know, he played with Nick Merckx and Gent, and then Gent and Onmu through all his pro career. So it was a whole new experience for him. So once they didn't have like a third player anymore, it seemed like they didn't really know what they were going to do. Vax had been cut from so many teams, so many different times. And I actually spoke directly to him one time, and he basically told me that he felt like the whole competitive industry was just focusing on young roller fraggers and forgetting about what like someone with experience could bring to the game. And that's him. I've always said that, I've said it many times on the show that I think Vax is one of the most underrated players in Apex. And he felt that like M&K players are being kind of overlooked for that. So anyways, this team gets thrown together at the last minute, going into midseason play or the end of Pro League Split 1, and somehow managed to come out and win the regional final, go to midseason playoffs. They've played together under 2 months together and go and take a third place finish there. But the wild thing about it is that they could have won. Going back to that game 7 that I was talking about, like they were in the game winning position. And who knows what would have happened if they win this fight. But SAUL doesn't know they're in the ravine underneath them and just drops on them and kind of griefs their game. Wolves kill them, and Wolves take that spot and win. But they also had Wolves down to a solo. They almost clutched up. So like, and Wolves wins that game from their spot. So who knows what happens? What happens if SAUL never drops? What happens if they win that fight against Wolves? Do they win the tournament? Because they were on match point there. They were first at that moment. So it's one of the bigger what ifs. So yeah, I'm hoping that one of the toughest things is that was a while ago. That was August. It's December now, and they still got another month before this tournament happens. I felt like they had that momentum from regional finals, the end of Pro League, that really carried into the midseason playoffs. A lot of that's like kind of like stifled. I still think that they could be a lane winning team, but I hope that they could find that momentum again with all the time that's been. Did I do a good job? Did I forget anything?
I think no, that was perfect. That's exactly like
that was good.
It breaks it down perfectly. No, it was a crazy year for them, and they ended up having their best performance of all time for all three of them. So big for them. I personally like to root for them just moving forward. And if you want to go check out some interviews we have with those players, we have one recently with Sauce, and we have one recently with Deeds as well. So you can go check out their perspective on the entire.
I was also wrong. They got second.
Insane.
They got second.
I think you said third. Yeah, no, they did get second.
Yeah, they got second. I confuse, honestly, because we'll get to this in our like Group D episode, but like when we talk about NIP, I feel like the two of these teams, their stories have paralleled so close together this year. Slightly different things, but like just like two teams that felt like they kind of came together so late, and then have gone on dream runs this year and been two of the most exciting teams to watch. So
yeah. So that is ROC Esports. We're rock hard. We're moving on, though, into our first APAC North team of this group, and that is Team Fnatic with Yuka F as the IGL with Colonel Garcia and Libel Ace on the squad. Now, Don, It seems like we always bring up Fnatic every single LAN. This is the one. This is the one, and it just hasn't happened up to this point. Where do you see the odds, the chances? Would you throw their hat in the ring for being one of those teams where they are in that, Shopify Rebellion tier? Or do you think as time has gone on, they've slowly dipped down into some of those lower tiers? Where's Fnatic at right now?
Yeah, Fnatic is definitely not the Fnatic of old. It is obviously two members of the team are a lot younger, have a lot less experience, whereas we've known Fnatic teams in the past, they've been a little more experienced, a lot more cohesive. They've played together for a little bit longer, and we just don't really have that with this roster. And I think it's definitely shown this year that there's been a lot of growing pains. There's been a lot of times where they just aren't even close to the teams in APAC North, let alone the rest of the teams in the world. And we're just not used to saying that with Fnatic. And, we're used to them saying that they're clearly the best team in APAC North and that they are the sole really challenger from that region, outside of when like Reject was around, to win the LAN for the region. And it's a team that on paper, there's a lot of stuff to like, but it just hasn't really come to conception in terms of just seeing it on the map, seeing it play out the way that everybody thought this would happen. Libel Ace, Colonel Garcia, two players that have a ton of upside, but again, just this trio just hasn't quite been as seamless as I think a lot of people have expected. There's been a lot of iffy decision making on the map. They've made a lot of poor decisions in terms of fights they're taking. There's definitely been times where we've seen some fun clips, but it's when they're running around in cars on Olympus, tap strafing and killing somebody with a car to then just die to another team that is running around with a car. And that's kind of unfortunately been the highlight of their season. Like it's been a tough road for these guys. Again, you would expect Fnatic with UKF to be the number one team from this region, but we just haven't quite seen it. If we do find the best performance of this team, I think anything can happen, especially playing in Japan for champs. But again, we just haven't seen it this year. I really haven't seen anything that makes me think, oh, like this team is like on the way back. So the way they're going to do it is by fighting. I think that when they're on their game, it's a very good 3v3 team. Obviously, we know what UKF mechanics are like. Libel Ace obviously had his time where everyone's like, oh, he's the next best player coming out of APAC North. So if they can figure it out, obviously they were able to figure out something at midseason playoffs by coming in 10th place, which I think was even a surprise at that point. But in terms of, potentially winning LAN, unless it's a miracle run, I just don't really see where there's an easy path for that to happen. I think just even making finals could be difficult for these guys. But if there's anybody I think they can figure out, it's going to be a player like UKF. So you're never going to count somebody out like that. So time will tell. And obviously them being from Japan, I hope they do well. Because, I mean, if there's any team outside of obviously some of our America teams that I think would be amazing to win this LAN, imagine the scenes watching Fnatic hoist that trophy in front of that crowd. Like, I just got goosebumps just even thinking about it. Like, I would love to see it.
Yeah, it would be poetic for sure. It would be a great moment. And just being in Japan last year when Fnatic was doing well at times, that stadium was so loud. Like it was ridiculously loud. It was insane. So it'd be even better if they could find a way to win the whole thing. Now, Jumbo, what do you think their ceiling is? And has their floor dipped below finals lobby? Do you think it's now kind of like, yeah, man, it's just, it hasn't been there for a little bit?
Yeah, at a champs tournament, like they didn't make finals at the Open. At a champs tournament, I think it would be tough. With mid-season playoffs, they were not doing great. If you remember, Wyatt, I was texting you some pretty mean things because you said something about Fnatic winning, and then they went on and they had like 0 points through like 3 games.
Yeah, no, I remember.
Yeah.
They got 20th the first game, 19th the second game.
They managed to like sneak in off having, I think, back-to-back wins, or like they had 2 wins within a very short time span. And because it's one set, 10 games, like they were able to like ride that momentum and sneak in there. So definitely I think their floor could be like it could even be a losers round 1. I don't know. Like they get, like, it's tough to say specifically, but I could see them missing finals. But like I think their ceiling also is finals. Like it would be shocking if they won. Would I want it? And would I want them to prove me wrong? Absolutely. Like you both just said, that Japan Fnatic crowd was on a different freaking level, right? And they would, the Japan crowd would cheer for every one of their teams, but the Fnatic fans were on a different level. So I'd love that for them. I know that it would go insane, and I want them to be in finals because it will make sure that the last day has great turnout and everything like that. But I mean, the Libel Ace pickup right after champs always was like a little bit questioning, like confusing to me, like not being as involved with understanding how the roster swaps happen in APAC North. And the reason why is because like he just got 40th at champs, and then Fnatic didn't do that bad. And then suddenly he came in and like joined the squad. I know Colonel Garcia joined as well, but like he had like a lot more upside at that moment. So anyways, we'll see. I hope that, you know, they just go and they surprise us and they go on a freaking crazy run. Not like we haven't seen something like that before.
Definitely not. Definitely not. We've seen a lot of crazy things in competitive Apex. Let's move on to the next team here. It is FYR Strays with Syrale as the IGL, Enemy, and Crook. If I could say one thing that has nothing to do with anything at all, F, Y, and R might be the worst 3 letters to pair next to each other to roll off the tongue. Just
Fire?
just not good. Yeah.
Don't you just say it as fire?
Is that what you do?
I think it's fire, is it not?
I'm pretty sure it's Fire Strays.
Yeah, Fire
All right,
Strays.
I just looked so old right now. I sounded so old right now. I was old man yelling at Cloud right now. Good God. That was absolutely terrible.
You're the guy
my bad.
You're the guy with the freaking broom hitting the roof.
Yeah, I'm literally that. I was that right now. But yeah, so Fire Strays, Syrale, Enemy, and Crook. Those are the 3 right there. Syrale as the IGL, like I mentioned once again. And one thing that I did want to mention when it came to Syrale was I believe he was IGLing at the end of the last Pro League split. And people were surprised with how they were performing. They were very aggressive, but they were winning their fights and things were going their way. Dawn, let's go back to that time. Do you think that that can be replicated on a champ stage? Because that's the difference here.
Yeah. So with these guys, it's gonna be a weird one to see because obviously Syrale, you know, there was, you know, moments definitely during Split 2 Pro League where it was like, oh, like this guy actually can really IGL, and like that's not something you usually normally see from somebody so inexperienced and so young in the Apex scene. It usually does take time for these things to work because I am blanking on the name for some reason on what team he was on when they were like first Pro League to start with.
KCP.
Thank you. Which like that was obviously like the main story to start Pro League. I was like, oh, like can these guys just make like a crazy run? You know, he decides to bet on himself. He joins FYR Strays, and you know, obviously more secure champs plays based on their champs points and everything. So he comes into this team where, you know, Crook had been kind of IGLing with Alb, and then Syrale kind of takes over the IGLing, which obviously Crook will have some input, but Syrale definitely, you know, is a little more involved with being the IGL. And it definitely is a very mixed bag of results when you watch these guys in scrims, because there'll be some days it's like, oh, these guys are like absolutely cooking and look like one of the best teams in the world. And then there'll be some days where it's just like, what the hell is going on in this team's comms? Because it's just all over the place. It does not seem like they are on the same page. You have Enemy, sounds like he's speaking gibberish some days. Like, I don't know how they understand him sometimes. Like, he's just so full of energy. I think that sentences don't form for everybody else. But like, it could definitely be chaotic at times with that team. When they're locked in and dialed, it could definitely be one to surprise, I think, a few people. But in terms of like what their overall kind of like ceiling is going to be, you know, what Syrale's individual performance might look like as the IGL, there's definitely a lot of question marks and a lot of things that can only be answered by playing on the LAN stage. I really think right now they're going to be kind of that team that they more than likely will make finals, but it wouldn't be a surprise if they go out in like a losers round 2. There just isn't really anything for me right now that's like this is their one thing that they can like hang their hat on. It is like they're going to need a lot of things to like work well for them to be like a very serious threat. But again, I think they will be a team that again in the right situation can surprise some people, especially given how Cersei has performed at times as the IGL. So it's going to be definitely we'll have to wait and see what happens.
Jumbo, this is an interesting ceiling and floor question because it's just like I don't even know what you say here. Because first of all, it's like part of it is kind of weird because Enemy and Crook were playing with Alb for most of the year. And then it's just like what do you say here?
They're like a wild card type team, like for making finals, just because of the fact that, like you just said, like we saw Crook and Enemy play mostly with Alb. They did good at Open, but didn't really ever look too crazy good after that. And then Cersei, we saw looking really good with when he was with NIP with who were they with before? Nine Lives. Like they did pretty well there. And then after he goes on to KCP and he's IGLing out of his mind apparently and getting first. And then like he comes to this squad and he's looking all right. So Cersei might be like, it's tough to say Cersei's an improvement over Alb, but he might be an improvement for this roster over Alb. But does that give me like super big confidence that like they're going to make finals for sure? Like that I don't know. I don't think so. Do I think they could get there? I guess yeah. Like if they made it there, I wouldn't be like, oh, what the fuck, Fire made it. But like, you know what I'm saying. So
You mean
it's a tough one. FYR, yeah, it's a tough one. But like, I would say like they're kind of like a wild card team. Like it's a one who if they show up, they'll show up. But like if not, like I wouldn't be surprised again.
So speaking of Alb, we move down into Hot Dog Mafia, and that is Skittlecakes, Alberlelli, and Rambo. Alberlelli in the IGL role once again. And this is another squad similar to the one we just talked about, where the timing is weird and it makes it to where it's almost impossible to kind of predict where things are going to go here. Part of you wants to say, well, they haven't been around that long and, things, creating this team was a weird time. So you'd want to lean like, I don't think they could perform. But then you look at the roster and you're like, well, on all of their best days, hell yeah, they could perform. Where do you stand with the Dawn?
Yeah, it's just with how the format's been this year, it's just one of those teams that kind of just like came together out of nowhere. And it's just like, oh, well, this is just a team now. Like, we're going to kind of roll with it. I mean, as funny as the name is, I mean, it's literally just Hot Dog Mafia. I think they were asking people on Twitter for what their team name was going to be. Like, it's just kind of like one of those situations that happened. But I think the biggest thing with this team is ultimately what's going to be the communication between Alb and Skittle, because I think there's some understanding of sometimes that like Skittle's supposed to like IGL more, but like Alb kind of just has like that natural like play style and personality where like he gives a lot of information and like wants to act on it very quickly. So he kind of like falls into that like IGL role. So ultimately what their ceiling is going to be is how can those two coexist in game, because when they're locked in and they're working well together, it's one of those things that this team again can be in a final situation. We'll just kind of see what happens. But when their communication is off and like you can just tell they're very disjointed, it's a team that again could go out very early on. It's again a lot of very good names on paper, and ultimately what it's going to come down to again is in this stretch of time with scrims and the couple days of Pro League that they play together, are they able to iron out all those kinks that a lot of these top rosters have already been able to like figure out because they've played together for so long, or they have like all these, the coaches or whatever the case is, that allows them to kind of like, build that chemistry a little bit quicker. So we'll have to see what happens with these guys. Again, ultimately, I don't really see like a situation where they're going to be like a big threat at this tournament. But again, I think with these guys and the experience that they have, like making a finals isn't out of the question.
Now, Jumbo, just from a pure hilarity standpoint, if somebody in the broadcast booth had to say, and Hot Dog Mafia are your ALGS champions.
Yeah.
I mean, that's got to be like top 3 out of all the names here that you'd be like, yeah, that's hilarious.
Find me 2 better teams that are funnier than that.
Top
You know what
3,
I mean?
not 3 or 2.
Yeah,
you know,
find me 2 funnier teams. There's like Boogie Borders, that's kind of funny.
Mm-hmm.
Men of Culture, that might be kind of funny. But like,
Yeah.
can you just imagine on set, Hot Dog Mafia are your champions?
I'm just
don't
thinking
even know
out loud
that
here.
would, like, how would that even just like flow off? Like, I just don't even know how like that would. He has a job to do in his hands if they ended up winning, because I just don't know how like that would flow, in a just in that moment. I just don't know.
I'll tell you this, like, they're professionals at it, so like they'll get through it, but I'd love to have the headset on when the mics get muted to hear them fucking laugh after, because I know they will. They'll be like, did we just actually say that? Like,
yeah, you know what's gonna be funny is trying to watch either myself or Wyatt yell that after if they win. Because
dude, that'll go easy for me. I'm gonna have puns on deck.
oh my god!
That is
Can
is fair.
Can you guys eat a fucking shaboing boing? For the viewers or listeners who do not know why it's calling hot dogs shaboing boings now. So should you guys eat a shaboing boing? Either I want to say every time they win. This is going to sound fucked up. I don't know how often that's going to happen. I feel like you're not going to have a lot of shaboings, right? That's actually not that fucked up. Like, the most wins for a team last time was 5 or 6, right? That'd be like, what's 6 shaboings over 4 days? Should you do it every time they get a kill?
Every kill?
I mean, bro, it's not like they're like they're gonna get.
No, that's the funny part. No, I know they're gonna get kills. I think the funny part is if you guys have to eat like 30 hot dogs.
Okay.
Days.
Well, that's funny for you to say.
I'll make this bet right now on pod right now. If Hot Dog Mafia wins champs, for every kill they get, I will go live on this YouTube account and I will eat as many hot dogs as they got kills. I'll find a way to make it like if I watch a full-length movie, then I can knock off like 5 shaboings. But if they win champs, and I'm assuming if they win champs, they're gonna have a decent amount of kills.
They're gonna have like a fucking 100 kills. You got to do it in one sitting.
Yeah, I'm gonna just stay.
You're talking about the kills in the entire land.
Tournament. Yeah.
In the entire tournament,
it'd have to be finals. Wyatt, you would die, and I'm not even saying that.
I'm
not even because I was gonna say I'm not even saying that as in like a freaking thing of like
because that is group stages. That is a bracket stage.
You know what some people say like I'm dying of laughter, like using dying and that. No, I'm saying I think that you would actually die. I think you'd
physically combust from that many shaboing boings.
No,
in your system.
see, you're saying
my body's built for shaboings.
You're saying combust, which sounds fake. I'm saying I think this guy would be rushed to the hospital.
Bro, listen, literally. All I'm saying
and
is
they'd say there's way too much sodium in his body.
I've consumed a lot of shaboings. And here's the thing, Jumbo, you forget that like the hot dog eating contest, dudes are putting down 70 in a
your
day.
family is going to fucking... True, I didn't think about that, but Joey Chestnut's different.
He is different.
Like your family's gonna hate you. Your place is gonna smell like hot dog water.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I just got a Costco membership. I have unlimited access.
How about
access
every
to
top
shaboings.
5? How about every top 5 they get?
Okay, what if I just do this? What if I just do this? Every kill they get
don't
in
even
finals, just finals. If they win,
no. Forget about the win. Just every top 5, you guys eat a shaboing.
For Hot Dog Mafia.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Right. And you guys will be together too, so you guys.
Donnie, you don't even have to pay for the shaboings. Yeah, you have to do it. You're not even paying for the shaboings, bro. We got shaboings on deck.
Tell me when it happens. I'll try to find a shaboing in Japan. I don't know if I can though. I've never seen one out there. They had breakfast sausages. Me and Donnie are gonna have pork
pistols on deck.
Yeah, just breakfast sausages count. They had that last time.
Kosher katanas. We're gonna have everything ready to go. We're gonna be ready.
I could go for a shaboing right now.
Kosher katanas is gold.
Anyways.
Okay, so that was our Hot Dog Mafia breakdown.
Hot Dog Mafia breakdown. Tune into the
yeah.
stream, guys. Make sure you tune in.
Tune
you
into the
get to see
stream.
him
Donnie's
every
going to
time
be
we do
out
that.
here in this very studio. He's going to be here in this studio. Let's move on into our next team. And for the first time, I believe, second APAC North team, we have Reignite. And I'm not even going to try to say these names, Donnie, because I know I'm going to mess them up because I messed up Fire on the last team. But let's break down the squad, Don, for us real quick. Break down the squad and then their style of play for people who don't know or are unfamiliar with Reignite.
Yeah, so this version of Reignite's definitely a surprise team to qualify. They were the second place team coming out of the LCQ for APAC North. Had a very solid LCQ final. I think they had placed, top 6 in 7 of those 9 games. So they performed well. Obviously, that quality of lobby is not going to be what they see at this LAN. And as for a lot of people that have watched Apex this year, APAC North's kind of been one of the lesser versions of itself this year, so it's maybe a little bit easier to qualify out of that LCQ. But for this team, like they're going to be kind of a traditional zone team. Like they're going to want to rotate quickly, get solid placement. They don't have kind of that one person that that's going to take over a fight necessarily. It's definitely going to be more of like a together group. Rohe, who is their IGL, definitely is going to have a lot on his shoulders, and it's only, I believe, it's going to be like his 3rd LAN that he's ever been at. Ray's definitely had all the experience on this roster, but they weren't together at the Open, and then the one LAN that they were at this year, they got 31st as RRX at midseason playoffs. So not really probably too much to expect with this team. Again, going to be a team that's definitely going to rotate quickly, and if they can avoid kind of those like early surprises trying to rotate in, they could potentially have some solid games and maybe a solid like groups matchup. But again, it's going to take a lot for this team because especially if you're not really picking up that KP, that's really what like kind of settles the group stages, is those teams that can pick up a lot of kills. So it's definitely going to be tough. But again, another team from Japan playing in their home country, it'd be awesome to see them do well. Again, it's just going to take a lot for that to happen.
Muted again.
Jumbo, when you look at the overall, when you think to yourself where they could fit in here, what's their ceiling, what's their floor, where do you got Reignite at?
Yeah, what I would say is that I really appreciate that we have Donnie on this show because I have no idea when it comes to Reignite.
All right, let's just do what we did with Hot Dog Mafia. Here we go. Every time Reignite gets a top 5, I flick a lighter on. I reignite a lighter. There we go. Every single time.
You gotta do more than just flick a lighter. How about you?
I set myself on fire.
How about you cook? You could do that. Say cook the hot dog in with the lighter. Cook the hot dog with the lighter.
Oh yeah, I'm just holding it like this.
How about every time
what if they both get a top 5?
Every top 5, you just actually put the hot. Do you have an electric stove or like a gas? I'm assuming electric.
I have electric.
Shit, you got to get something with an open flame, and then every time they get a top 5, you cook the hot dog with the open flame.
And then every time they don't, I have to eat the dog raw. No, I don't want to eat dog. I don't want to eat raw dogs.
Some of them you can eat raw though. They're not. Don't eat raw pork. It's terrible.
Yeah, I don't want to.
Anyways,
I don't want to do that at all.
No, I mean I am mostly kidding. I'm familiar with with Rohe and Seven. Is that how do you say his name, Don? 7?
I just say 7. Yeah.
Yeah, 7. But they haven't had too much experience or success in the past before. So right now, I would say they're a team that is maybe bottom 10, but we'll see. I'm also very uneducated on their squad. So that's a terrible uneducated take. And I apologize to the listeners for that.
That's okay. That's okay because I'm going to set myself on fire every time they get a top 5. So that's going to be big. That's going to be big for the stream. This is going to be huge. This is going to be a big time.
They'll get views.
Yes, it will.
You actually might get banned. I don't think you're allowed to
for sure.
set yourself on fire.
For the
Well,
record, this will
that's-
not be happening.
He is
This will-
not setting himself on fire every
You
time.
guys always hold me back from my true potential, man.
We
Yeah, every
do.
single time I have a good idea, like
It's
setting
not
myself on fire, you
me,
guys don't let me do it.
It's Neil, the CEO of YouTube.
I'm gonna have to talk to him then. We'll get him on the show next. I'm sure he's not busy.
No, not at all.
The final two squads that we have here, boys. One from APAC North. This is Syrale today. Get that right, Dawn.
We've been saying. I just want Jumbo Chicken's.
I don't think that's right. Like I barely know. I thought it's like Syrale.
We've been saying cereal is
Cereal.
what I've gotten as basically saying it like cereal, like breakfast cereal. That's the closest I've gotten to a decent pronunciation. I'll definitely have to hit up my guy that watches a lot more of APAC North to get some better pronunciations, probably for some of these teams. But yeah, for these guys, Ianaga, I believe is how you say it. He was a part of oh my god, it was the like newbie teams that had kind of made their way to surprise qualifying for lands during year 4. If there's anybody that is absolutely goated at zone calling, it is Ianaga. He is legitimately, when we see the map view, if there's more than 2 or 3 times that they are not center zone, they definitely either got killed off early or the map's broken, because his ability to find center zone is definitely one of the best in the game. That's going to be their bread and butter. That's what they did during the APAC North Regional Final, because I'm pretty sure they were not in position to qualify for champs if they did not win that regional final. So for them to be able to work their way, especially with teams like the 36s, like Unlimit, and were able to win that regional final, is definitely a big kudos to them. So again, definitely expect a lot of Newcastle crypto from Ianaga being the one kind of making those calls, getting them to center zone early. Again, their biggest question is going to be being able to keep up with these top teams in terms of KP, because even during the regional final, 63% of their points came from placement. So they definitely rely heavily on getting to end game. So if they're able to do that, they could maybe make a surprise run to like lose this round 2. Again, making finals would definitely be a huge accomplishment for these guys. But yeah, definitely expect a lot of center zone play from this roster.
All right, Jumbo. So this one, every top
Every
5,
time they
I'm
get
eating
top
a full
5, you
bowl
have
of
to-
cereal.
But then
Yeah.
it's milk and hot dogs.
Oh my god.
Well, see, the thing,
What does
I
this
don't
turn
eat
into?
cereal with milk, though. That might be a weird thing that I do.
What
I
do
don't
you-
eat cereal
What
with
do you do?
milk.
Coffee?
I don't
Coffee?
put anything in there. I
Just
just eat
dry
it.
cereal.
Do you just dry cereal?
I just put
Look,
it in there,
I
take
don't-
my spoon,
what
and I
cereal?
just eat it.
What cereal?
Honey Bunches of Oats. That's my goat.
Honey Bunches of Oats dry is crazy.
Bro, I don't know. If
I don't
I'd
think it's
come
that
visit
crazy.
anymore, because that is actually psychotic behavior. I'm not even
Is
kidding.
it?
Like, you think I'm kidding? I just
Is
I
it?
don't know. I just don't know, man.
I think
don't
some
know.
cereals. I
There's
think
just
some
no way.
cereals, like as a quick snack, you just eat it dry. That's not crazy. I just think Honey Bunches of Oats dry. It's just like
No,
there's
taking
nothing
the time to put it in a bowl,
to it. And then
grab
use
a spoon,
Like,
and
yeah,
then
like,
eat
why
it.
not just like put it like use your hand? Like, I do agree. The spoon without milk is crazy.
If I'm going to be
That's-
honest with you, a lot of times I start spoon, and then by the end of it, I'm just grabbing. You know?
Yeah, I mean, if you think using your hands to eat cereal is weird, using a spoon to eat dry cereal is weirder.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so to answer your question, there won't be any milk involved. It'll just be Honey Bunches of Oats and shaboing. So full bowl of cereal every time they get a top 5.
Bowl of cereal. I don't know if you can see, I was smiling, waiting to make the comment.
Welcome
yeah.
to the Apex of
Welcome
Podcast,
to the Apex
where
the
we break
pod.
down Apex Legends. That's what it is. That's what it is, baby. And then our final team of Group B, it is Men of Culture from the Americas region. We've got Floating. We've got Too Many Cheaters, which I'm sure there will be a name change. And then we've got a Vecchi on the squad. Floating is the IGL. And if people don't remember who Floating is, he is from the Open. He was on Team Twerkaholics. Well, if they kept Twerkaholics, that's not, maybe they let
Yeah,
him keep it.
but Too Many Cheaters, I don't think they could. I noticed that it's EE, Cheaters with 2 E's now, which I feel like before it wasn't. But there's no way that they could keep that.
Okay. Well, either
Imagine
way,
saying too many cheaters won a LAN. You just can't.
yeah.
There's just no
Well,
way.
you
It's
It
can
too big
does
of a
feel
hot
kind of
topic
late
right
though
now.
to make him changes. It feels late.
True.
Right? Like
Very true.
we're literally, as of recording today, a month away.
Yeah.
Actually, we're 3
His
days
name,
past.
if
but
his
still.
name is just too many, that's kind of a sick name. I'm not gonna lie to you. I kind of like that. Just too many. I don't know. It's
I could
interesting.
agree with that.
It's not the greatest, it's not the greatest, but it's something. It's something better than too many cheaters. But anyway, as I was saying, floating from Twerkaholics, the dude's R99 was absolutely despicable in that tournament. Floating is here IGLing with men of culture. They were able to lock in the LCQ second place. That is why they are here today. Now, Dawn, you've gotten to watch them in a lot of these scrims. Where are they kind of sitting at this point?
It's definitely a team that you can just tell lack a lot of experience at the top level. Obviously they made their run at the LGS Open. When they got to that finals lobby, their strategies of, playing the game very differently than anybody else, essentially, did not work very well, obviously, with them getting 20th place. They're just a very classic team of they want to fight anything and everything. And that can be very tough when you get to this level. The scrim, again, it's scrim, so you don't want to put too much weight into it. But when you're on the best ping and you have a ton of these teams that aren't on ping because they're using, usually, I believe it's like US West servers or maybe US Central servers, you would expect more of the Americas teams to perform well, just being on better ping naturally. But they're literally the bottom 5 just in terms of average points. So it's a team that, again, don't really expect to have too high of a ceiling. Maybe they catch a hot day where they're just winning every single fight possible and they can surprise some people at some point. But definitely a team that they're going to rely on their fighting. Again, floating being top 10 at the opening kills was very, very impressive. And you don't want to discount that firepower, especially because I think even a Vecchi during the LCQ final had like 25 kills in like the 6 or 7 games that they played, which again, don't want to discount that at all. But when you got guys like Koifel and Peter Howell, and I mean, you even just look into this group alone, you've got Asia, you've got Zap, you've got Zainu, you got Koifel. I mean, the list just goes on with players that are also very good at shooting. If that's going to be the sole thing that they rely on, it's just going to be very tough. And then you mix in that they don't have any experience basically outside of Floating's one appearance at the Open. There's just not really too high of the ceiling. But again, you hope they go, they can maybe put on a respectable performance and build it next year. But again, just make it to the big dance and see what happens, right?
Sometimes that's all you need to do. Sometimes it's all that matters. You just make it in there. You try your best. You do the best you can. And honestly, floating, the thing that they did with the Open was they wanted to bring in some of these newer talents in here, and it looked like there wasn't even going to be a chance that anybody from Twerkaholics was going to be able to do anything. Luckily, he's able to make champs, so kind of redoes that wrong. We'll see what happens here, but either way, it's some good experience, Jumba. Sometimes I think experience is all a player needs moving into the latter portion of their career as they start moving through.
Absolutely. I mean, Dawn kind of nailed it with this team, where they place and everything like that. We've only seen Floating at one LAN. The 2 others, I don't believe, have ever played at a LAN. And so it's basically... It's basically what are we going to see from them when they get there? That's the only thing that you could really say, right? Because like we haven't seen them too much in like anything in competition at like a really high level. So I feel like there's not that much to say because even scrims, if they're doing bad now, I mean, no one expected Twerkaholics to do what they did back then. So I don't know if we can expect anything from this team now. Just go in without expectations and enjoy the ride.
There it is. There it is.
You're
Sometimes
muted.
that's all you need is just that little bit of experience there. So, ladies and gents, that was our final team in Group B of the ALGS Champs groups. We got Group C and Group D coming up here in the next few weeks as we get ready for the championship down there in Sapporo, Japan. So be out on the lookout for those episodes. Also, thank you guys to everybody who sent something out on the Spotify Wrapped. We really appreciate having us in there. That's big. That's big time. Thank you guys so much. It's been a really long wait to get here. We're finally getting close, and we're super excited. We hope everybody has a very safe and happy holiday as we get ready for that holiday season. Y'all stay safe out there. We'll be back for Group C and D as we get ready for Champs. See ya.